Jay Powell is the big event this week and next week as well when he gets ready to speak with David Rubenstein. Alphabet was a big mover this week, and it continues with it being down about 3.5% right now after reporting disappointing earnings. The quarterly results show that the sluggish economy is hitting demand for services, including Alphabet's cloud computing as well as Google's digital advertising. So here now to discuss Alphabet's declines and struggles is Alex Merutka. He is founder and CEO of CRAFTSMAN Plus. Alex, it is good to speak with you. When you take a big picture look at Alphabet, it feels like there's so much focus on cost cutting when Alphabet wants to change the narrative to where it sees its next big growth, its next big initiative like AI. Give us the lay of the land here for Alphabet and where it needs to be focusing its efforts.
100%. Thanks for having me, by the way. So Alphabet and like other ad tech platforms right now, the focus should be on user-generated content. So we've seen this strategy play out for TikTok and their extreme growth. We're looking at companies like Snapchat starting to monetize Spotlight, their TikTok competitor. You look at Facebook results. They did well in the stock, but they're actually pushing more impressions to Reels, which is actually monetizing at a lower rate because the inventory is a little bit cheaper there. So where I see Google growing is on YouTube Shorts, and that platform is already growing really quickly.
And so, Alex, I mean, not just specific to Alphabet, but when we talk about all these companies, these tech companies that are very dependent on advertising revenue, it feels like Apple always comes up. And I had Scarlett walk me through this in the commercial break. So it all traces back, of course, to Apple's changes to its privacy settings. You now have to opt in to basically be followed now. But how long can Apple be a scapegoat here?
I mean, Apple's already making moves into the ad tech market. So you're seeing they had, not as strong quarterly earnings as well with this downturn, but advertising is historically a very profitable business and it's pretty easy to set up. So they already have job postings out to build out a demand side platform, unlike Google right now, which is on both sides, sitting on the publisher monetization side and the demand side. And they're getting scrutiny right now from the FTC. So my guess is Apple leans into the advertising business. They've done a great job with Apple search ads. It's probably the top performing placement after they launched ATT, their framework. And I bet they lean into a DSP demand side business and launch it sooner than later based on their recent earnings.
So Apple's going to move into advertising as well. What are the benefits it brings with it as it does this? Because it has to tread pretty carefully given that it kind of started this whole thing with the change to its privacy settings and obviously with the government action against Alphabet.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no secret that Apple and Facebook don't really get along, and the ATT framework did really hurt the ad market. So I mean, Apple's setting those rules in privacy, so whatever they launch is going to be compliant with that business. So I don't think there's a big worry of them, damaging the space. Actually, I think it's going to help my last company I worked at, AppLovin. Unity, IronSource, those types of companies. If Apple launches this demand-side platform and leverages all their first-party data that they've captured over the years, they can use that to target users on other channels, other suppliers, and publishers. So ultimately actually helping the economy a little bit by increasing publisher monetization by plugging into supply-side platforms like the AppLovins, Unities, and IronSources of the world.
And I want to talk a little bit about AI, obviously, because it's super fun right now. It's in the news, but we know specifically with Alphabet, with Google, it's top of mind for them as well. So when you're thinking about the next area of growth, all these different avenues that a company such as Alphabet, such as Google could take, I mean, where does AI fall on that list?
Yeah, I'm glad people are more focused on AI right now, and it's kind of caught up in the space versus metaverse. And I think you're seeing other big platforms kind of switching their focus and diving into more AI. So there's been huge growth there. I mean, the way we see it at CRAFTSMAN Plus is, we're a creative builder. And when we're looking at automating certain processes, AI is, for us is about automation. So whether it's Google and optimizing and automating where you spend ads on what users and what platforms, or whether it's our creative builder deciding, red background, blue background, what's the character objects in there, all those micro asset swaps, that really drives performance. So I think AI is going to be a big component in all the turnaround for ad tech in general.
You started off by talking about TikTok, so I'm just wondering where you see that story headed, because a lot of states, a lot of public sector organizations have limited people's abilities to use TikTok, much to the disappointment of individual users. How do you see this getting resolved this year?
So I think the issues with TikTok and all the platforms right now, I mean, basically all these platforms are trying to avoid, Sauron's eyes, kind of how I see it, which is the government and the FTC. So whether it's on Google or on Facebook or on TikTok scrutiny for, the allegations against their, having people spy on U.S. users, it doesn't really help when there's a balloon, floating over Montana. So the focus is going to be on TikTok right now, which is actually better for, Zuckerberg and Google to try to push their AI, to push their capabilities, to lean more into user-generated content while, the eye is focused on TikTok.
Alex, really appreciate your time. Great to talk with you. That is Craftsman Plus founder and CEO Alex Merutka. Coming up, Nordstrom shares surging today after